And you know what we did? We watched fucking Wish. I guess that's the segue. That's the segue into the Wish segment of this podcast. So she said that, oh, you know, what time are we leaving? Hey, Mom, could you maybe drive us to the theater? And there's a movie. And she was going to pay for my ticket. She called it a surprise. And I was like, babe, I cannot do a movie right now. I cannot go to a theater and sit in a movie for like an hour or over an hour. I'm going to fall asleep. And I don't want to go to a movie to fall asleep. I'm not 70. I'm only like 70. I'm only 80 at heart, you know? I'm just an old man on the inside. And so she agreed because she was also really tired. And after we woke up, she was really curious about Wish, but she didn't want to spend money on it. And also we were like, I don't know, we just had like a limited amount of time. Like, we're not going to go to the theater. I doubt if there's any midnight showings of Disney's Wish. So we just watched a cam rip of it with like the casino ad over the whole thing with like, go to slotslight.net. And for the record, I'm glad that we did not spend money on it. Sometimes piracy is good because you can ingest something without having to support it. And people are like, oh, but what, the artist doesn't get the money. It's like, no, but in this case, it's like, I don't want to encourage them. So as you might expect, I didn't like it. Well, I say I didn't like it. Oh. God damn. I say I didn't like it, but that's a little bit of an overstatement. I had an incredibly middling response to it. It's not a good movie. It's not a terrible movie, depending on how you define a bad film. I would describe Wish as the least confident film I've seen in a very long time. Maybe a front runner for that spot. For the all-time spot. So going into this, I had absolutely no idea what it was about. I didn't watch like the full actual trailer because I don't give a fuck. I don't care about Disney, and I don't even like Disney. My girlfriend just makes me watch Disney movies because she's like a baby. She has baby brain, and I realized, like, you know, this was like the first Disney movie in a while, like since maybe, what was it, Forbidden World? Lost Planet? No, that's not what that's called. It was that movie that no one saw, where I had no idea what the premise was. I heard someone say, she told me, oh, it's an origin story for the Wish, from Wish Upon a Star. Wish Upon? My favorite movie, Wish Upon? I told you that's all I heard. It was an origin story for the Wish, and that means literally nothing to me, because what the fuck do you mean it's the origin story for the Wish from when you wish upon a star? It's not a thing. It's a verb. What? So what really struck me is that, you know, sometimes I see ads for it on the sides of buses, and the characters kind of look AI generated, and okay. It really hit me when we were watching Santa Claus movies on TV last time, and we got 3 separate, like, unique ads for Wish, and I realized that I watched 3 different ads for the same movie, and I still had no clue what it was about. All I got was there's a girl and a star and a man and a goat and I don't know, like rabbits or something. And I have no idea. I don't know. I guess that's the main character. I don't know who the villain is. I don't know what the conflict is. I don't know why I should be interested in it, which, pretty much every single ad I saw for it was, hey, it exists. And that's actually a pretty good metaphor for the film. So here's what Wish is about. So Wish is about this kingdom that it's called Roses. And there's the people come to Roses because it's this perfect society where you don't have to pay taxes and everyone's happy and everything kind of rules, right? Everything's awesome here. Everyone's super stoked about living in Roses. And the king is this like sorcerer king named Magnifico, and he has the power to grant anyone's wish. So what you do is when you immigrate to the country, you go to him and like it's like this small nation state. Or like city state, and you go and or when you turn 18, either when you get there or when you turn 18, if you're over 18, he goes and he takes your wish, your dream, your one singular dream that everyone only gets one thing that they want to do with their life. That's it. And by 18, everyone has one, I guess. And you give it to him, and it comes out as this little bubble. And then he grants it or he doesn't, like once a month or something like that. They never explain why he can only do it once a month, or why he would want to do it once a month or anything like that. But that's how it works. Okay, cool. And the main character is this girl named Asha, and she lives with her grandparents, and well, it's like her mom and her grandpa. And she really wants her grandpa to get his wish because he's 100 and he never got it granted. So she wants to be the sorcerer's apprentice. Whoa. Oh, the sorcerer's apprentice? Am I picking up an idea here? No. And she's going for like an internship, and she goes in for this interview with Magnifico, and he's like, let me show you. Hey, it's your first day. Well, she doesn't even get hired. She just says, I really want to be your apprentice. And he takes her into this room, and it's where he keeps all the wishes. It's like in his secret workshop behind a sealed door. Okay, already? And, shouldn't you take me to dinner first? Yeah, they do this weird shit where they're like, oh, you're almost 18. You got to go see the... I'm like, uh-oh. And, bro, who's in Magnifico's black book? That's what I want to know. And he's like, yeah, so most of the wishes here don't get granted because... So she's like her grandpa's wish. And it's like, oh, I want to inspire people. I want to create something that will inspire or influence the young generation. And he's like... And he goes... Oh yeah, I could never grant this because it's too vague. Like it something to inspire people. That could be anything. That could be anything from like a song to like a revolutionary, like something horrible, right? And Asha's like, that's so awful. How could you say that? And I'm like, wait, but like, is he wrong though? No, seriously, like. Is he wrong? He sounds kind of right. At least on that one, it actually makes sense. And I actually was sort of interested at this point. I thought, oh, okay. So we've got this guy who can grant anyone's wish with magic, but he doesn't give everyone, he takes their wish from them and they forget it. They lose their wish, and a part of them is just missing, right? And he basically decides, he's like kind of pruning society into this shape that he likes by only granting wishes that he thinks are beneficial for society and taking wishes that he thinks are too reckless or dangerous and just sealing them off. And I was like, that's kind of interesting, actually. And Asha is super opposed to that. But like, so immediately they hit you with like this sort of twist. They introduce you to something, this concept, and then they instantly hit you with the twist. And that actually kind of got my little ears perking up. They got my little tail wagging because I was like, you know, a lot of Disney stories. They'll have the plot has like. You have an idea pretty much right out the bat what the conflict is. But then at some point there's a twist. I mean, a lot of stories do this. There's a twist that recontextualizes things. New information is gained that changes that changes the main character's mind or something like that. They're faced with a decision. And we're doing that instantly. We're doing that within the first 10 minutes of the movie. So that leads me to believe, they're going to actually do something with this idea. And this has some interesting implications. You could tell a neat story with this kind of an idea. And, in my mind, I was like, this is a totally obvious setup. This is a super obvious... Okay, it's going to be cliche, but it could be kind of neat, It's like, okay, so she's going to, like, find a way to grant everyone's wishes, and then it's going to cause chaos, and she's going to, like, realize, like, okay, maybe he had a bit of a point, but it'll, like, turn around at the end, and maybe she also had a bit of a point, and they'll both kind of, like... learn each. He'll kind of be taught, like, maybe his problem isn't that he's evil, or it's just that he's too safe, he's too conservative with the way that he handles this whole wish granting thing, and then they're both going to learn from each other something in the end. That doesn't happen. Actually, nothing happens, because the movie doesn't do anything with any of its ideas ever. It is the most wildly frustrating film to watch, because this movie feels like it got completely screwed up in rewrites, because there's all of these. If you're like a competent writer or someone with a brain, it's so easy to come up with just anything to do with these concepts. Like, in my head, and I even heard other people's ideas for, like, what they think could be, like, a good direction to go with this stuff. In my head, my thing was, she's gonna be... What if she was the sorcerer's apprentice? What if she becomes his apprentice, and then, much like the classic Fantasia short, she causes, some ruckus because she is tapping into power that she doesn't understand? Like this idea, right? She causes chaos that she doesn't understand. It would be an obvious homage to the Sorcerer's Apprentice, but you would be doing something totally different with it. And this is like Disney's big 100th anniversary thing. This movie is just packed with really stupid, shallow references. That one could actually be kind of fun. We're taking this classic Disney idea, and we're almost making a whole movie out of it. But it just kind of like the premise is a bit of an homage, because that's such a classic image, right? Is Mickey in the little wizard outfit. The wizard guy in that short is called Yen Sid. It's Disney backwards. It's very emblematic of the brand and the history and all that. So instead, what happens is she's like, I'm gonna go wish on a star, and then a star comes down, and it's this little star guy that you've probably seen in the marketing, and he's magic or something, and he shoots magic. And he doesn't grant wishes. He doesn't really do much of anything, actually. He's magic-y. I don't know what the fuck he's supposed to do. He just kind of does shit that the plot needs based off of magic. Occasionally they do a little bit of... he'll animate an object, kind of like the Sorcerer's Apprentice. He'll animate an object or something like that. And like a pair of scissors will start flying around and snipping at stuff. But most of what he does is just, he makes things talk. He makes plants talk. He makes animals talk. He makes the goat comic relief side character talk. That goat fucking... Oh my god. It's like the laziest comic relief side character ever. Yet they do nothing with the star. It's just... Really? This was the most imaginative thing you could do? The thing starts talking? That's really crazy. Just like nothing done with it. I don't know what the point of the star was, besides being the star that she wishes upon. When she does that and the star comes down, there's this big magical glow over the kingdom. And everyone's like, wow, it's like magic. And Magnifico's like, I didn't do that shit. What is with that? And for some reason, he just kind of immediately jumps to the conclusion that someone's using magic who isn't him. And he doesn't trust that, which is like kind of reasonable. But instead, he decides to just become like a complete megalomaniac. And he goes out and he gives a speech about, like, I'm gonna fucking "Give me that fucking traitor! I'm gonna cut their head off!" He doesn't say that. This is while Asha and the shitty goat and the star are going to, like, break into the wish vault. This movie just flies by. Like, it is really paper thin. This is, like, halfway through the film already. And people start asking him questions. Like, just basic, not even, like, aggressive or confrontational. They just start asking him basic questions about, hey, why does so few wishes get granted? Can you only grant wishes every so often? Why does this happen? Why does that happen? Like, what's this? And he gets so mad, he slams the door and he goes into his villain song. Here's my next thing. The music in this movie tastes like dust. It is the most... Instantly, the first song that we heard, it didn't feel like a musical song. It didn't feel like a Disney musical. And I said, this sounds like Charlie Puth, which is not a good comparison. And Kat said that apparently, like, I looked it up too. Yeah, this movie had like 3 songwriters, I think, and at least 2 of them they're not like musical theater people. They are pop writers. They're pop songwriters. So all of the music is the blandest, least offensive, mildly catchy, just like total pap. I can't. Okay, look. If I'm listening to your Disney musical soundtrack, and if I can't imagine a group of like gay 20-something theater kids putting on a Disney musical soundtrack and looking at me like I'm expected to know the words to it, you failed. Okay? This movie does not. There are no kids with the fucking pins on their backpack that are playing this at the function. Okay, that is not going down. So this villain song was where I really started to notice it, because it's not a good villain song. It's not good musical theater. Like when you're doing a movie musical, it's musical theater. It's just a film version of that. And the thing, like, I'm not a musical fan, right? I don't hate them. But like, I can enjoy musicals. And I feel like I have some kind of knowledge, some basic, at least musical background. I have been in musicals. I've done some theater. I have some experience with at least doing some of this stuff. So I have like I have some taste when it comes to it. So the problem with this song is it doesn't sound like a villain song at all. Essentially what this is that it's meant to bridge this very jarring gap where he goes from like a little shaky and a little like, I don't know like what his real deal is, to a full-on villain. By the end, he's committed to using evil magic, which is evil because it's like green and stuff. And it's kind of weird and it sort of feels a little forced, but you could totally make it work by using a song, because songs are like these very compressed stories, like these very tight, compressed format for telling a story. And it's this is the Thanks That I Get is the song, or the Thanks That I Get. I don't know what it's called. It's that song. You may have heard it. I don't know. So the whole thing is basically he thinks the people of his kingdom are ungrateful. He does so much for them, and he's like, kind of right. I mean, they don't have to pay taxes. They don't have to. This is like a communist utopia, and the communists pay more or less tax. Oh fuck, they would pay more taxes. Shit, this is like a capitalist utopia. And he's like, what the fuck do they know? Fuck them. I wish I could kill all of them. But the music is like this. The actual song is this weirdly bright sounding, positive, poppy thing with these trumpets. It's da 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 da. This is the Thanks That I Get. And it sounds so off. And like in my head, I'm going to say that I could do better because I think I could. Because I'm arrogant. I'm an arrogant asshole. If it was me, it feels like the way more obvious thing would be you would start out with, because this is a song about him becoming villainous. You start out with that sound, right? You start with these big major key trumpets and all these different sounds, and then you get like, let's say 3 choruses, and then every chorus you start slowly replacing parts of the instrumentation with things like maybe replace it with like strings. You start changing the melody to have like it shifts. It does like a key shift into like a minor key or something. And then you get like a big like key change for like the bridge, and then the final chorus is like full on minor key, really villainous, malicious. What's the word that I'm thinking of? Ominous, yeah, sounding like spooky. Just musically, right? Like those kinds of things, those sorts of musical pieces of the musical texture. So you get it would be, you know, like telling a story through music in a movie musical. God forbid you tell a story with one of your songs using the music and the instrumentations. But no, instead, it sounds the exact same the whole time, and you get this weird dissonance with like the singer's performance, who he's actually like sounding kind of aggressive and mean by the end, but the song is still it sounds like Footloose. Footloose, loose, put on your DuckTales. It sounds like it's the villain song. It's a song where he like he does his full heel turn, and it sounds like Footloose and DuckTales. Like what the. No, it's not good. The movie is stuffed with these really pointless homages, or not even homages. They're just like references. They're just like, hey, check it out. Whoa, this guy's like Peter Pan. Isn't that crazy? And yeah, it's lame. It's I saw multiple people online saying that it sets up for some sort of Disney cinematic universe, and I was kind of dreading that, and then I watched it, and no, that's not the case at all. If you've seen that, that's just nerds being overdramatic. Whoa, dude, you made a reference to this thing? That's like a cinematic universe. Whoa, dude, you made a reference to the Bible? Is this in the biblical cinematic universe? No, they just have a bunch of characters who are the 7 dwarves for no reason. So, like, yeah, all of her best friends, I haven't mentioned them because they are fucking useless and they don't do anything. Well, they're, like, there. They're given things to do, but they're so, yeah, whatever. She has these friends, Asha has these 7 friends, so the 7 dwarves. Excuse me, which I didn't even get until, like, 3 scenes in with them. And so, like, in Snow White, it's weird because Asha has these parallels to, like, they dress her up as the fairy godmother. So it's like the fairy godmother and the 7 dwarves. And I don't get why they're the dwarves. Like, in Snow White, she was basically, like, their mom. And the whole movie kind of revolved around this sort of, like, mutual relationship between Snow White and the dwarves. And here they're just kind of like her friends, and one of them is her best friend, and the others do random stuff depending on when the plot needs them. They're like half the dwarves from Lord of the Rings. You know, when they're literally like when Tolkien was like, what if I introduced like 12 characters and only 3 of them are important, but I gave all of them names just because it would be funny. Like, it's a fucking joke that there's so many dwarves, and he just kind of pulls out, all the dwarves who barely have personality traits, and he just kind of like, yeah, this guy gets to do something now. That's what they feel like in this movie. Except instead, it's not like, this isn't a 3-hour film that's focused on like this party of adventurers. It's like an 80-minute movie or 90-minute movie where they show up a couple times. Yeah, a lot of the, references, look, we just got done watching Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, and I really loved a lot of the little winks and nods and references and cameos in that series. And for me, that works. Like the ending of that, like when the kind of like epilogue part of the last episode, there's certain characters who show up who were like only in the comics, and you're like, whoa, it's that guy, yo. That like we popped off for, and just teeny tiny little references and dialogue and stuff. And you know what? I was super cool with that because the show was good and those things just sort of happened in passing. That show felt like a love letter to Scott Pilgrim in many ways. This feels like it's trying to make up for the fact that it's incredibly hollow and shallow by just tossing, hey, isn't that funny? That guy's dressed like Peter Pan. Oh, his dream is to fly. Hey, isn't it? There's the goat. He says he wants to start a city for animals. Isn't that like Zootopia? Isn't that like Zootopia, guys? Don't you remember Zootopia? And you're like, okay. It's like, it's not cute. It's not cute anymore. You got to be cute to act cute. This movie is boring and it's acting cute, and I don't like it. And then there's just, I don't know, like the guy just turns evil, and his evil magic, like he gets like green hands, and I don't even know what the fuck the evil magic does. Like, I don't know what his plan is. He's gonna crush all the wishes to get power, because he gets like a bump of cocaine every time he crushes one of the wish bubbles. And he's like, I'm going to crush all the dreams, and everyone's going to be sad because they have like this response when your wish gets crushed. And then Asha stops him by fucking singing. And he's like, no, the power of love or some shit. And I don't know. It's just fucking so boring. So that's the thing, right? Is that he's like totally right at the beginning of the movie. Asha has this thing that's like, everyone deserves to follow their dreams. And it's like, no, actually, maybe not everyone. Okay, here's the thing. You get your wish taken when you're 18. Dude, half the wishes are just about getting laid. Like, guaranteed, they're just about getting laid. Like, you get, like, when he takes the bubble, he can see, like, the image, like, he can see in your, like, I guess what your mind imagines when you had the wish. Like, how many times do you think he's taken someone's wish and he's like, oh, Jesus, you're into that? All right, and they have no idea. They can't remember it at all. He's extinguished the horniness from them. But he's like, yeah, all right, okay. Maybe some people have bad wishes. Maybe some people are like, dude, I really wish I could kill my neighbor. That's my dream. That's my dream. Maybe some people's, maybe, you know who wouldn't agree with this would be Walt Disney. Walt Disney does not want everyone's wish to come true. Namely, let me tell you about a little man named Adolf who wanted to be a painter, and he ended up not achieving his dream, but it ultimately led him to doing what, something that Walt Disney really cared about and he was really super into. And I think that he would have been on Magnifico's side, to be honest. I think if Walt Disney had met, Adolf Hitler, he would have been like, I'm going to take your dream, dude. I'm going to take your painting dream and I'm going to crush it. And I think that was the Jews, dude. Oh, my neck. Did you hear that? Holy crap. What the fuck was I talking about? Yeah, some people have terrible dreams. Also, the thing I mentioned, so everyone has one dream. Everybody has one thing that they want to do for their entire life. It never shifts or changes or anything. So no one's like, hey, remember how we were just talking about Scott Pilgrim and that character is like 23 and he has like 3 different life goals over the course of that series? And how he's like a completely different person by the end. What, that never happens? This is a movie for babies. It's a movie for babies, which is like, it seems obvious because it's Disney, right? But I think, to be fair, a lot of Disney films are at least enjoyable by adults, or you can at least appreciate them. I can't imagine any adult truly appreciating this film outside of the context of watching it with their kids. Hey, here's another thing about this film's incredible blandness. The art style sucks. It's so flat and boring. Like, they're kind of going for a storybook thing, but a lot of people said it looked unfinished. Kat said it looked unfinished. I don't know if it's unfinished or if it's an intentional stylistic decision, but it doesn't look great. It lacks a lot of it doesn't look dynamic. It's extremely flat looking. The lighting is all really mono lit. I told her it looks like a fucking like a show on Cubo, which is really mean. At least art style wise. And I think she made some comment, because, I am who I am. She made some comment about Asha and Tiana. And I was like, no, but Tiana was hot. And this is going to sound really stupid, but this made me actually have a breakthrough about what I thought about the art style of this film. I was like, no, Tiana was she's actually drawn to be a gorgeous woman. I don't think you could never make a hot babe in the Wish art style. They could never produce one, because everything is so flat and reserved and lifeless. Every single character is so devoid of anything interesting in terms of their shape or personality. They're just kind of there. It's so fucking stock looking. Yeah, and the whole film is like that. It's just incredible. It's boring film that doesn't do anything with any of its concepts. Perhaps a great metaphor for a modern Disney. If you're super cynical, you can be like, oh, it's a great metaphor, because it's an overly safe product that throws in 3 or 4 different or 2 or 3 different funny mascot characters to sell plushies and takes 0 chances, and just kind of sucks. Yeah, I would not recommend watching it. I think the funniest part, the most enjoyable part of the movie was randomly making references to slotslight.net, as if the whole thing was an ad for the casino. What's your wish? I want to win big at slotslight.net. Oh, yeah, Wish, not good. But not good in sort of a way you don't see too often. Apparently this movie probably could have been interesting, probably could have had some talented people probably worked on it. It was just, because there's some concepts from behind the scenes. I didn't even mention the king's wife, because she doesn't fucking mean anything. She doesn't matter at all. They were going to originally be an evil couple. They were going to be fucking Shao Kahn and Sindel, which could have been awesome. But I guess they chickened out and they were like, nah, he's just a mean guy. And she goes, oh no, the whole movie. And the star had all these different concepts, and they just boiled it down to a tiny little goober star. And there's probably a lot of really interesting directions that this could have gone that ended up getting sanded down into the current product. So that was Wish.